Okay, back by popular demand, another Rant and Random Thoughts video. But quite frankly, I don't have a hell of a lot that'll have me going off onto the rant tangents. Because basically everything that's going on right now is shit we expected. So I, like many others, our response is, I told you so. You know, we said for a while that if the socialists took power in this country, which they clearly did, that was a coup last November. They told us they were going to steal the election, bragged about it. Biden talked about they created the best, largest, most efficient voter fraud organization in history. Even greater than what they had in 2012. Said it on camera. Everyone fucking seen it before the election. Magically, oh, he wins the election. Cases get filed, and then we get told there's no proof, no evidence. Even though you have thousands of affidavits, you have security camera footage, you have tons of evidence, stuff from Project Veritas, you know, just all over the damn place, documenting the fraud that happened in November of 2020. Well, we find no evidence of fraud in this election. Bull fucking shit. Then you get it leaked from people working for the Supreme Court, their little staffers, whatever the hell their official term is. That you had Justice Roberts in there with the other living justices at the time when the case was filed by the Trump campaign, or at least the Trump supporters. Roberts yelling at the top of his lungs saying, we can't hear this case. If we hear this case, you know, it's going to be civil war. They're already rioting in the streets. They're burning down cities. We can't overturn the election. It was a giant fucking I told you so. They came in January. January 20th, Biden has his coronation speech. The greatest threat to this republic is nationalists, patriots, and veterans. And then official after official, Congress critter after Congress critter come out and say the exact same shit day after day, week after week after that. That the greatest security threat this country faces isn't Antifa and BLM burning down cities. It isn't ISIS in the Middle East and their groups here in the United States, which also have been documented time and time and time again. No, it's domestic extremists, it's patriots, it's conservatives, it's white people, it's gun owners, it's militia, it's Christians, it's anyone who's not full-blown motherfucking communist. So why is anyone surprised on anything that comes out of our government now? Seriously! I'm not surprised on a goddamn thing. Fuck, they told us in December they were going to work on changing the election laws. And we get the H.R. 1. It's passed the House, sitting in the Senate. And I'm just waiting for them to sneak it through in the dead of night one day. And then we're going to find out about it a few weeks later that, oh, they passed it at frickin' 12:01 on Friday night, you know, of 2 weeks before bullshit. And they're not going to let us know who voted for it. They're just going to tell us that it is officially law now. And President Biden and Kamala Harris signed it into law at 12:05. I give him 4 minutes because it'll take him that long to put down his applesauce and pick up the pen, and after he's done saying, hey, what am I doing again? Oh yeah, I got a sign here. What am I signing? Just shut up, Joe. Just sign it. Oh, okay, Kamala, whatever you tell me to. Do I get that young girl in the morning?
Just shut up, Joe. Sign it.
All right, there you go. It's fun being vice president again, but why am I signing so many documents? That's something you should be doing, President Harris. Gun control. We know what's going to happen. Everyone was riled up about, oh, Biden's going to be doing his press conference. There's going to be executive orders. He's going to take the guns away. Well, that turned out to be a giant bait and switch, didn't it? All it was is he signed some executive fucking orders instructing different agencies to come up plans on how to enact shit. Well, I still think they're going to still pass the stuff or ram it down our throats by executive order. And it's going to be one of these that gets slipped into a fucking pile of other shit that he's going to sign off on. Yes, I'm drinking adult beverage. Now, people have their panties rammed up their crack right now, and they're rubbing them farther in there with sandpaper covered fingers because of what's happening overseas. And my response to that is, I'm not fucking surprised in the slightest. So what do we have going on? Well, in case you haven't heard, because you've been living under a rock, which kind of makes sense now with all the stupidity going on, Russia has moved approximately 80 to 100,000 troops to the border with Ukraine. This is a major combat formation. I've heard that they have moved in large amounts of engineer equipment to do bridging across rivers at a very rapid pace. They're now moving in large numbers of multiple launch rocket systems, which they use for long-range fire to soften up targets before their advanced elements hit them and before the artillery hits them. They also use MLRS to take out enemy artillery before they're able to fire in a battery also. Not a surprise. And I have an idea what's going on that. Well, the response to Russia moving 100,000 some troops, or almost 100,000 troops to the border of Ukraine, someone in the Pentagon decided we need to do a show of force. Let's do a rapid deployment exercise. That's a great idea, General. What are we going to deploy? Are we going to send in a brigade of the 82nd Airborne? No, I got a better idea. Let's put 2 HIMAR launchers on a couple C-130s in Germany. We'll fly them over to Romania. We'll take them off, have them fire off their rockets into a range in Romania, then load them back up on the C-130, fly them back to Germany before anyone even knows what's going on. Then we'll release a press statement that is guaranteed to scare the hell out of the Russians. Great idea, General. Let's go through with the plan. And that's what they did. They took 2 fucking HIMAR launchers. HIMARS launchers. For those of you that do not know what these are basically a pipsqueak version of the old MLRS, which is based on the Bradley chassis. Now, the HIMARS is mounted on an FMTV series truck, so a 5-ton style truck. It contains 1 rocket pod from an MLRS, where MLRS has 2 rocket pods. These pods have 6 rockets each. So basically, we deployed the equivalent of 1 MLRS launcher from Germany to Romania, fired off a few rockets, and then we skedaddled. How the fuck is that supposed to intimidate anyone? You know, it used to be when we were intimidating a country, tell them to back the fuck down. We would do a real rapid deployment exercise. We would deploy, say, a brigade or two of armor from Germany to like Ukraine or something, you know, put them on the railheads and that stuff, ship them over there within a few hours. Or we'd take a brigade of 82nd Airborne or a brigade from the 10th Mountain, load them up on aircraft, fly them in within 24 hours. No, we did 2 fucking launchers. And the Russians are sitting there with 100,000 fucking troops, and they're supposed to be worried about 2 launchers that can fire a total of 12 missiles before they get found and get taken out by hundreds, if not thousands, of counter battery. You know, if they were dumb enough to actually send it into Ukraine. Retards. That's just all I can say about the people that are in the Pentagon now. These are political morons. We already know that. These are people that survived the Obama purges. They're now in control. These are yes men. They're idiots. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Plain and simple. So let's switch into another region. South China Sea. The Chi-Coms, the People's Republic of China, is moving in massive numbers of troops, equipment, aircraft, and naval vessels to right into the immediate area of Taiwan. They're getting ready to invade Taiwan, plain and simple. They've already been sending out ultimatums to nations in the area, to include the United States, telling us don't get involved. They're going to take care of their problem their way. Now, for those of you that aren't aware of this, Taiwan is not an official country. It is still a republic officially of China. They're not an independent nation. They operate as an independent nation. The United States is officially, unofficially an ally. We've on and off over the years provided them military equipment. And that usually depends on who's in office. If it's a Republican on office, we'll send them some 20, 30-year-old shit to update what they already have on hand. If there's a Democrat in office, like we have now, or we have a socialist in office now, they usually do an embargo of military technologies going to Taiwan. Oh, did I also mention that Russia sent an ultimatum to the United States also telling them don't get involved if anything should happen to occur in Ukraine? Yeah, I bet you haven't heard about that over on CNN and MSNBC either. So, I know Warthog Defense, a channel that I'm sub to over on YouTube, they did a video talking about how it would be a bad idea for China to invade Taiwan because they're going to lose miserably because the United States will get involved. The United States way of doing war is a fucking loser, all right? Plain and simple. The wars that we've won over the last 20 years, 30 years, have been against enemies that, quite frankly, they didn't stand a fucking chance. And before we went into their territory, before we took them down, we would spend at least 30 fucking days moving in huge amounts of equipment, huge amounts of troops, huge amounts of supplies before we would do our shock and awe exercise that nobody anticipated was going to occur. There's nowhere we can move that much equipment within range of China. Now, I know some people are going to say South Korea and Japan. No, we can move the equipment there, but you're still not going to be able to get it from there over to Taiwan to help them out. let alone from there into mainland China. And there's no fucking way in hell the Chinese are going to give us 30 fucking days to stack this stuff up. All right? As soon as they see we're starting to move in troops, we're moving in armor, we're moving in equipment, we're moving in extra fighter wings, we're moving in extra bomber wings and stuff anywhere within range of that area, they're going to they're going to give the go order to their troops, and they're going to be on the shores of Taiwan within minutes. The Taiwanese will kick the shit out of the Chi-Coms, but it's going to come down to a war of attrition, and the Taiwanese will lose because they're vastly outnumbered. Oh, and for those of you who haven't heard, Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man, told Joe Biden to go take a flying fucking leap when Joe Biden called him after some testing or some mobilization exercise they were doing. You know, Kim Jong-un told him, you know, you shove it up your nose. I want to talk to the guy that actually knows what he's doing, not you, Grandpa. Shut up. Kim Jong-un, I got a feeling he's also getting ready to invade South Korea. South Korea will kick the crap out of North Korea, but it's going to come down to how much support Kim Jong-un gets from the Chinese. But as Kim Jong-un's losing, he will annihilate Korea. For those of you who haven't heard, since COVID hit, North Korea locked down their borders. The black markets have completely dried up. That was the only way people were able to feed themselves in North Korea, is from the black markets. The border troops were given the orders, if anyone was caught coming from China into North Korea carrying food, carrying anything, they were to be shot on sight. It wasn't going to be like it was before, where people could smuggle stuff in, they would pay a bribe to the border troops and let them through. Well, now they're just outright killing people. We know this is going on because the staff of the Russian embassy had to flee North Korea because they weren't even allowed to bring in food to the embassy staff. They were not officially allowed to leave North Korea. The North Koreans didn't want them to leave because of COVID. So they had to sneak out into China. And when they got into China, they reported that even the elites in Pyongyang are starving, cannot get food even on the black market. There is nothing left. The average person in the countryside, you know, if starvation and, you know, the worst conditions you could ever think of could get worse, it actually has. The days of them being able to eat tree bark and grass are over, because they even ate all that, apparently, over the winter. They got nothing left. The population is dying. So Kim Jong-un, he's going to go out with a blaze of glory. If he's going to go down, you know, he's going to take everyone with him. Götterdämmerung. Like Hitler did at the end of World War II, where he literally ordered his troops to slaughter civilians in Berlin as the city was falling to the Russians, because he didn't want them to surrender to the Russians, so he beat them to it by killing them. Having his troops not just shooting Russians, but shooting German civilians wherever they found them. Interesting piece of history that I'm sure you National Socialist fucks that do watch the channel aren't aware of. And yes, I do get the occasional National Socialist pop up in the comments on videos telling me I'm wrong about Hitler and all that stuff. That's how I know I do have some of those assholes watching the videos. Just like I know I have Antifa fucks watch my videos also. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not putting training videos over on YouTube. I'm putting those primarily over at BitChute. There are some exceptions that will come over to YouTube once in a while. Now, I have a feeling these countries, why they're moving this stuff around, they're getting ready for war. It's because they're waiting for the US to fall. And we're getting ready to fall at any fucking time. I'm actually amazed that Antifa and BLM have not gotten the order already to kick shit off. They're waiting for something. My guess is they're waiting for the Derek Chauvin verdict, you know, the George Floyd trial. That verdict will be coming out soon. And I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to see the worst of the riots start around May 1st, May Day, which is a communist holiday. And Antifa in the past has used May Day as a day for launching huge protests and riots around the United States even before the bullshit started in 2020. So we'll be stuck in a, just rocket train speed spiral downward. Civil war's kicking off in the US. We're going to be busy pulling our people back as quick as we can to take care of the de-escalating security situation here. The rapidly increasing chaos. That's when you're going to see Russia go into Ukraine. That's when you're going to see the PRC go into Taiwan. You'll see North Korea say, fuck it, I'm going to get involved too. And they're going to finally cross the border into the south. And as the North Korean troops are going south, they're going to be freaking like locusts. They're going to be stripping food from everywhere they find it as they're going through South Korea. And you're going to see little conflicts that the United States has been keeping a lid on for decades just explode. I know there's stuff down in South America we've been able to keep under control. You know, the Middle East, I think, will become a fucking big nuclear radioactive fucking bowl. Because you'll have Iran going after Israel. Hezbollah's going to say, fuck it, they're going to go after Israel because they're controlled by Iran. You're going to have other Muslim countries, Arab countries that are going to, even if they've signed peace treaties with Israel, they're going to declare jihad. They're going to go after Israel. And Israel is going to just say, screw it, and they're going to launch their nukes. Okay, I've heard that Israel has anywhere from 8 to about 40 nukes. I don't know for certain. The biggest number I ever heard was like 100, and I think that's way, way outside their capabilities. I think that 8 to 40 is probably a better realistic idea of what they have. We're not talking ICBMs, we're talking probably stuff that's on intermediate range missiles, stuff that's on cruise missiles, and things that can be delivered by their aircraft. And very likely backpack type nukes that they probably have located in capitals around the Middle East with Mossad teams, no different than what we did with the Soviet Union in the Cold War and the Soviet Union did with us. And, you know, our shit's still in position on both sides. So, well, let's get into the situation here in the United States, because that's kind of next on the list. Well, we got the Democrats announced here a week ago that they're going to do an exploratory committee to see about reforming the Supreme Court of the United States, and that they're talking about adding at least 4 new justices. They're trying to justify it on how many judicial districts there are in the territorial area of the United States. And you can guarantee that these 4 new justices will be communist. They're not even going to be liberal or leftist. They're just going to be outright fucking communist. I expect that they're going to ram that through. This week, I guess, is when the House of Representatives is going to begin deliberations on admitting Washington, D.C. for statehood. That they're going to try sneaking through this week. That appeared on the docket late last week. I should go back to the Chauvin trial. That rested last week. They're going to do their closing arguments this coming week. So we'll probably see a verdict from them here by the end of the month. BLM and Antifa were already in Minneapolis waiting for the verdict. While they were there, you had a 20-year-old dumbass decided he wanted to be a badass with the police. Dipshit Wright, or Dante Wright, 20-year-old prick with a violent criminal history. Now, this idiot was driving around with expired plates in Minnesota. He got pulled over by a black officer. This black officer is a rookie. He's on his training rides with his training officer, who was a female. They run the plates, come up who the vehicle's registered to. The owner comes up that he has a warrant for his arrest. He has a violent criminal history, and some of his most recent offenses involved a firearm. To include an offense which I've heard was in February of this year or February of last year, and this is what the warrant is related to. Wright would beat the shit out of a woman, held a gun to her head, and demanded she turn over money or valuables or both to him, and he would kill her if she didn't. Well, she turned it over, he got caught, so on and so forth. Released on his own recognizance, probably because of COVID. They didn't want him to catch it in jail. Well, they get that info come up on their computer. They call in support. Other officers show up. They get Wright out of the vehicle. They question him and that stuff. He refuses to answer questions. He's belligerent. He goes towards the vehicle. The officers do not know if he's trying to enter the vehicle to get a weapon or what he is doing. The female training officer that is with the black officer that pulled him over, she warns him she's going to deploy a taser unless he complies and stops trying to reach inside the vehicle. They do not know if he's grabbing for a firearm. Everything's very fluid. It's coming down in seconds. She then announces she's going to use a taser because he's still reaching inside the vehicle. She grabs for her taser. She pulls her firearm, pulls the trigger. She thinks it's a taser. It's her Glock or whatever the hell the Minneapolis department fucking has. Puts a round in him, mortally wounds him. He gets in the vehicle. Everyone is shocked because there was a gunshot. The female training officer literally fills her panties with something brown and squishy and basically starts going into a breakdown. Dante Wright is trying to drive off and loses control of the vehicle, rams another vehicle, and he croaks. So then BLM and Antifa, who are in Minneapolis already because of the George Floyd trial, hear about another black man getting killed by the police, so they automatically start rioting, which they were going to do anyway. That's why they're there. Talking about another innocent black man was hunted down and shot by the police. Well, he was hardly innocent. This guy had a warrant for his arrest. He had violence offenses on his record to include with the use of a firearm. So we got that bullshit going on in Minneapolis. We got nightly riots going on. They've burned down at least 2 stores so far. A Family Dollar and I think I heard a Foot Locker. A shoe store. As if burning down those 2 stores will somehow bring justice to this fucking dumbass. Wright's mom, who is white, not black, white, gets on TV talking about she wants justice for her baby boy. He didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to get shot by police. Maybe if that fat cunt had spent more time teaching her kid right and wrong, maybe he would still be alive today. Plain and simple. While the riots are going on in Minneapolis, we get a shooting down in Chicago. No, I don't have the kid's name written down. I think it was something like Toledo or something is his last name. 13-year-old kid. He's out on a weekday night, a school night, after midnight, and he's prowling the streets with a 20-year-old parolee, someone who had recently been released from jail. Talk is, he was released because of COVID. They didn't want to overcrowd the jail. Now, this 13-year-old kid is trying to be like this 20-year-old. This 20-year-old is a member of the Latin Kings gang in South Chicago. South Chicago, if you guys are not aware of it, is a fucking war zone. People refer to it as Chi-Congo or Chirac. You know, I've served with people who are from Chicago, and they outright said they seen more combat in Chicago growing up than they actually seen in actual combat in wars overseas. I actually had a drill sergeant who grew up in Chicago, and he had multiple gunshot scars from growing up in Chicago. He looked like he had been through a fucking IED blast before IEDs actually became a fucking thing. And he would outright tell us in basic training he'd been to war twice already. He had been to war against Iraq during the Gulf War, and he had been in war in Chicago. He grew up in a war zone. So we got Southside Chicago. 13-year-old kid hanging with a 20-year-old gang member who was released on parole from jail, who really should have still been in jail. They decide to go have some fun. So they decide to go start shooting up some cars while people are in them. Beer's done. Okay. They're shooting up cars. Gunshot detectors in the area hear the gunshots. Officers get vectored into the area, directed in to where the gunshot was triangulated from. They get into the area. The 20-year-old, the 13-year-old have split up. The one cop finds the 13-year-old, chases him down an alley. 13-year-old is getting cornered, has a gun in his fucking hand. The officer can see it. The fucking body cam footage fucking shows he had a firearm in his hand. Officer tells him to drop the weapon. Well, you see the kid moves his hand, looks like he might be getting ready to raise it on the officer. And in that split second, and the head of the police unit in Chicago said it was in 0.8 of a second, the kid starts whirling. The cop pulls the trigger, shoots the kid. As the kid's getting shot, he tosses the weapon. So the question is, was he going to toss the weapon anyway, or was it a reflex action? Who the fuck knows? Kid hits the ground. The officer's right there. Starts providing CPR and first aid. The kid dies. So now you have another situation in Chicago. People start rioting because police are hunting down black kids in the South Chicago. They completely ignore the situation of what happened. The media is going through, they're cropping the body cam footage, completely removing the firearm from the footage, just showing the kid and showing the cop shooting the kid. They're completely taking out the footage of the kid's hand showing he has the firearm. As the cop tells him to drop the weapon and the kid starts turning towards the cop, the weapon is coming into play one way or another, and the cop defends himself because he's worried that this dumb shit is going to try taking a shot at him. Remember, this kid was just within a few minutes before this shooting at cars with innocent bystanders. But once again, BLM and Antifa give sainthood to this little fucking delinquent, and they're rioting in Chicago. This is no different than what we've seen in all of 2020 and all the bullshit that they were using last year. Like the dumbass over in Kenosha. A fucking guy who had raped his girlfriend before. She had a restraining order against him. He showed up anyway, took the kids that they had together, removed them from the house. While he had them in the vehicle outside, cops show up. Altercation happens. He's reaching for a knife in the vehicle. They don't know if he's reaching for a firearm because he had firearms offenses recently. He's grabbing a weapon inside the vehicle. The kids are inside the vehicle. They don't know what's going on. They defend themselves. They shoot him in the back. He gets paralyzed. BLM goes on a fucking riot in Kenosha. And then you get Kyle Rittenhouse defending himself against people trying to kill him. They're giving sainthood to people that literally 10, 20 years ago, we would watch TV reports on these people and we would say, good, another criminal, another dirtbag removed from the streets, and we don't have to pay for their housing for the next 10 to 20 years. Instead, all the we ended up having to pay for was a box to put them in the ground. Well, now everything is so fucking changed. Criminals are in charge of the country, and when a criminal gets put down during commissions of a crime, well, then the officer is in the wrong for doing the job that we fucking hired him for, or her for. Jesus fucking Christ here. All this is being used to get the country to fall apart, to get a war started that they're going to blame on us, even though everyone fucking sees this shit is starting because of Antifa and BLM. We still got Dementia Joe in the fucking White House, supposedly the one in charge. And I really think the one that's actually pulling the strings is Obama. If Biden ever takes off his mask during a press conference, look in the back of his mouth, you'll probably see Obama's hand so far up Biden's ass, you'll see the fingers moving around in the back of his mouth, making that fucking meat puppet move. You got Camel Toe Harris has been contacting governments overseas, acting like she's the president, pissing off those governments. You have presidents, premiers, prime ministers going into press saying how insulted they are to be contacted by a vice president when they should be talking to the president. And when they call to talk to Biden, they're being told they're not allowed to. But that they can talk to Kamala. We also have going on right now something that has never fucking happened in history. Government officially on documentation, press releases and all that stuff, instead of referring to it as the Biden administration, are instructed, and the memos have come out on this, they're supposed to refer to it as the Biden-Harris administration. The reason for that is when they remove Biden's, that there will be less upset transitioning over to Harris, because they've already conditioned us that she's in charge also anyway, the co-president bullshit. Now, I think we're going to see the rioting kick off here for one reason or another. I got a feeling it's going to be because of the Derek Chauvin bullshit and the other stuff that's going on. They're going to let the rioting just get completely out of control, worse than last year. They'll probably remove Biden during that, talk about he's ineffectual because of the rioting going on. He's not cracking down. He's not stopping the rioting. Harris will then come in. At the same time, you'll see Congress ramming through gun control, taking away private firearms from people, but they'll allow you to keep your single-shot .22 and your single or double-barrel shotgun. They won't let you keep a handgun because handguns can't be used in hunting. Well, they actually can, but they'll tell you they can't. They'll take away your AR-15, your AK, and all that shit, but you know what? None of that will fucking matter unless you're dumb enough to turn your shit in. Plain and simple. A law only means something if people follow it. All right? Just keep that in mind. But we'll have this crap that's going to get rammed through, and they're going to just, it's going to be one thing after another that'll get rammed through during the chaos as part of the package on ending the chaos, righting America, and that shit. And then the aftermath of that, we're going to be told that they're going to go after the people responsible for the rioting, just like they did last year. They're going to blame patriots. They're going to blame those idiots over in the Boogaloo movement. And yes, I'm talking about you, you fucking morons. All right, I've brought this up before. The Boogaloo movement is not the same as the militia movement or the patriot movement. It was originally started as a joke over on Reddit or 4chan or some bullshit there. Now, we all laughed about it because it was utterly fucking ridiculous. And I suspect it was started as a demonization thing of the militia to make us all look like morons. Like all of us go to training wearing Hawaiian fucking shirts. And, you know, do the stupid Boogaloo shit all the time. The Boogaloo meme crap. The Boogaloo movement was immediately taken over by anarchists and leftists, but I kind of suspect it was started by them in the first fucking place. When the rioting started last year, there was a lot of talk of militia being involved with Antifa and BLM in the rioting. Well, it later came out that this was Boogaloo movement people who are not in the militia or the patriot movement. They're actually demonized in the militia and patriot movement. These guys are a fringe fucking element, and there isn't a single fucking militia out there I'm aware of that takes these guys credible and, you know, wants any association with them whatsoever. Andy Ngo in his book Unmasked had stuff in there saying that the Boogaloo movement is run by leftists, is run by anarchists, and they work hand in hand with Antifa. And I believe it with what I've seen last year. They're going to use the Boogaloo movement as justification for coming after the militia, coming after patriots, conservatives, gun owners, and that stuff, because they're going to post these jackasses on the fucking news, use them as the example of what we look like, and justification for coming after us. So what should we do? Simple. The same thing that we're still doing now. Prepare. We all know the shit is coming. We all know the retard is going to kick off at any fucking time. And when it happens, I don't want to hear from anyone that they're shocked it finally fucking occurred. Okay, it's coming, and it's coming soon. Jesus. All right, the stuff I have here on the table. Let's change tracks here a little bit. This is a video I was going to do last week, laminating maps. This is not one of them I laminated. This is actually one that we used in the desert. I was showing this as an example in the video I was doing on how to laminate the maps. And I went and screwed up with the laminate on the map and fucked up the map pretty bad and the laminate. So I have to order more laminate, which is on the way. So hopefully next weekend I will be putting out a video on laminating maps. That was a request from someone over on BitChute. Now over to here. TM62 anti-tank mine. This is a Bulgarian training aid of a Russian-made TM62 Mike. I want to do a video on this, and I'm asking you guys for some help on this. I need the fuse for it. Because all I have is The mine itself, I was not sent the fuse. I contacted the seller, asked them if they had the fuse. They do not have access to any of them. I have been looking around the internet. I can only find one company that sells the training fuses, just a simple piece of plastic simulating the fuse for this type of mine. I contacted them. They will not respond back to me because I'm not a governmental agency. So I'm looking for the most common fuse for the TM62 mic anti-tank mine. If you got a link to it, you can point me in the right direction where I can get a hold of the most common fuse used in this series of mine, put it in the description for me, please. I will try to get a hold of it. Barring that, if I cannot find any, I will probably do a historic ordnance video on this mine and tell you why engineers should be aware of it. And I'll have to use pictures to explain how it gets armed, disarmed, and all that. Over to here, the t-shirt, Fourth Dimension channel. For those of you not aware of this, Spreadshirt pulled down Kaz's shirt store, citing some of his products that had scary looking firearms on them, and that some of his stuff was for Oath Keepers and 3%ers. And then they cited, Spreadshirt cited articles and press releases from the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, on why they were taking down his store because these are racist, hateful organizations, and they permanently banned him. Now, Kaz has over the weekend started a new account at another location for selling t-shirts and stickers and that stuff. Seriously, go over there, get a t-shirt from them. They're going to cost more than they did over at Spreadshirt. He needs the money. All right, plain and simple. For those of you that are not aware of the situation, he has been working part-time since COVID bullshit started in 2020. He told me he gets something like, I think it was like 16 hours every 2 weeks or something like that, or 8 hours every 2 weeks. He has been living on, I'm not joking on this, he's been living on tortillas and refried beans for a year. He's probably gone through all his emergency rations already, and all he's got that he's going on is beans and cheap tortillas. Go over there, get a shirt, get a sticker, become a patron, kick him some cash. He needs it. Plain and simple. Now, I did send Kaz a couple ideas on Sunday here for t-shirts. One of them being for the Security Guy 42 channel. Brought him up to him, that, hey, maybe he can do something on these, come up with something, post it in his store, and he can take the profits from it. I don't want any money from those shirt ideas that I gave him. The money should go to him until he's back up on his feet. All I want is a free example of the design. That's it. So, Kaz, if you're watching, hey, I know you need the cash, dude, and we've talked in the past about doing a shirt for the channel and that stuff. You got my permission. Go ahead. I gave you some ideas. See what you come up with. And I don't want any of the money off of it. I just want an example of the shirt. All right, dude? That's all I want. You can keep the cash from the sales. And once you're back on your feet, share the profits from those shirts on a monthly basis with the other 3 members of the R Syndicate, with Uman, with Vaughn Backcountry Preps, and with John the Prepared Mind. Just share it between the 4 of you. I don't want anything from it. Well, I should get going because it's getting fucking pretty late now, and I do got to go to bed sometime here, and I'll probably get this video posted tomorrow. Yes, I do have a few more training videos I want to do. I did not get to them this weekend like I had planned to because I had shit come up, one thing after another, after another, after another. And with all the stupid that's going on right now across the country, it's getting kind of tough being able to knock out videos. I'm getting them posted as quick as I can. Someone asked a question why I posted the one training video over on YouTube today, Sunday, and not over at BitChute, because I said that stuff would only be over at BitChute. Reason for it is I'm having a hell of a time with uploading videos over at BitChute. I've sent them multiple complaints about trying to upload videos over there and them dropping the uploads, and it says they have the upload and then it's in the queue for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days and never goes live. I've sent them multiple complaints on it. They send me a message back saying that, well, we're fixing the system and that I should just try re-uploading it again. And to keep in mind, to make it easier on my uploads, I can always, start paying for my account, then I'll have fewer problems with my uploads. Well, I'm not going to pay them for uploading over there. There's a little thing called free speech, and I do not monetize the fucking channel. The only thing that is monetized is Patreon. Links in the description. As always, if you like what I do, come over there, kick me a buck or two. It's your choice. The money I get in Patreon, for the most part, goes to supplies. A few times I had to use it to take care of bills when things were going really bad. Last year, the beginning of this year, because of a broken leg. And I was having issues with getting short-term disability through my employer to come through, so the money I had took in from Patreon during that time I had to use for bills. So, as always, my patrons that are watching this, thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. And sometime here, I might do a video of showing you some of the more of the stuff of what I've been able to get with the money you've given me. So, I should end it there. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, Essayons, let us try.